Good evening, everyone. The time now is 7 p.m. We are going to call this Board of Directors meeting to order. At this time, as a reminder for all of the homeowners, we ask that you please mute your line until the community engagement portion later in the meeting. You can raise your electronic hand at any time to be acknowledged during that period. So if you would like to address the board during the community engagement portion, please raise your electronic hand. However, we ask that you keep your line on mute when you're not speaking and wait until that portion of the meeting, the community engagement portion, and to be called upon. Thank you for your cooperation. At this time, Mr. Secretary, will you take roll call?
I will. Lashana Spencer, President.
President.
Thomas McKeithen II. He is actually logging in now. He is present.
Okay, pick the lunchbox up.
And Brian Creighton Sr. is very present.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have past meeting minutes. We are going to go ahead and table those minutes until such time they can be reviewed and then posted for homeowner availability. Next on the agenda, we have Ms. Dawn Johnson, who is representing our CAM Brenda Wakefield this evening with our manager's report. And at this time, I will turn it over to you.
All righty, good evening, everyone. From Brenda, I have the following items. Regarding the budget mailing, the mailing proof for the November 30th budget meeting was approved for Monday, mailing to owners without an email on file or who does not opt in to receive emails from Century Management. The second item she has here is fence repair and replacement. She says, I've not received an update pricing from R&M, I believe that's landscaping, for the fence project or the proposal from Hercules Fence. I've emailed both companies to renew the request for pricing for the fence repair. Regarding front entrance lights, Kolb Electric provides the following pricing for Century clients. Portfolio rates are offered to my clients at $118 per hour for mechanic, $78 for a helper. She has here in a note, only assign a helper if needed or required. The first hour is included in half travel time. And lastly, if lights are always on, maybe a simple issue with the photo cell. Regarding the AMBERS agreement, the executed AMBERS agreement has been uploaded to the Community Pro Board portal for your review. And then an update regarding the 2021 draft audit. The board signed it, Mr. Pomp has signed it. And now that all parties have signed, it has been returned to Strauss and Associates to finalize. And the adjusting journal entries will be provided to our general ledger department to be made. Any questions?
No, ma'am, I don't have any questions. I did review the report prior to the meeting. Mr. Creighton or Mr. McKeithen, do you have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian, you first.
The only question I have is to go back and circle back around with the graffiti removal from the September's manager's report. If you can have Brenda catch us up to speed on that, see if the graffiti was removed from the particular tot lot.
All righty, I'll certainly follow up with her on that.
Thank you.
And thank you. And Don, there in the report, we note that there are 21 accounts, whereas when the report was ran, there were 21 accounts where the balances were above $500. And I just looked at it. It does not look like that those accounts have been referred to the attorney. Let's please confirm that those accounts have been referred to the attorney. Um, uh, for those ones above $500. And then I do have a question for the board.
All right, and this is in reference to the accounts receivable where it says 18, and
I'm
you're
sorry.
saying it should be 21?
No, it might be. I'm thinking of the 21st of October. But what if their accounts above $500? They need to be referred to the attorney.
So I'm sorry, then there is something I left off from her report.
Yes, ma'am.
She does have here accounts receivable report run on October 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
Shows that 18 homeowners over the $500 threshold for attorney referral.
That is correct.
Okay, and she says 72 others have not paid their October quarterly assessment. 22 additional counts owe less than the October quarterly assessment, so that the total arrears amount is $64,716.38.
That is correct, ma'am, as of that writing. So I want to make sure that those 18 accounts have been referred to the attorney.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
She does provide also, I'm sorry, 2 additional closings on September 30th. 3433 Linden Grove Drive closed, as well as on October the 11th, 3516 Linden Grove Drive closed as well.
Yep.
Correct.
And I do have one question for the board members. There are a couple of accounts that are, and I'm going to say this, teetering on the edge of being at that $500 threshold. They fall between 780. They fall between 775 and 500. My recommendation would be recognizing if you have a $500 threshold, given where we are in the year, that those accounts be, that I think it's 2 or 3, be that those accounts be referred as well.
Now, Thomas, you said 700. Did you mean to say 400?
Did I say 700?
You did. That's why I'm
Did I say 7?
confused.
I'm sorry if I said 7. Y'all forgive me. They're between 5. They're between 495 and 475. And what I'm recommending is those that are above 450 go as well to the attorney, given where we are in the year.
On advisement from the attorney, he said that $500 was a good threshold because we don't want to be overly eager. I did see those accounts that are hovering around 495. I don't think we would have a problem with the court since it's that close, but I don't want to drop too much below the 500.
No, I think 450 is appropriate number.
We can ask, I would agree to ask the attorney on that, what he would advise on those accounts in question. So the accounts from what did you say? 475 to
I'll go for it. Let's
495.
Yeah,
450.
450. I prefer 450. That way we're halfway. 450 to 500.
Okay.
That range. All right.
So let's seek counsel from the attorney to see if he advises if that would be okay, since he originally set the $500 threshold.
Yeah.
And if he agrees that we won't have any problems with the courts with being too aggressive, then I don't have a problem with that.
I would accept that. That's friendly.
Brian, comments?
No comment.
Okay, we're good.
You agree with that course of action?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Is that all for Ms. Johnson?
Well, I just have one question. Would
Yes,
I
ma'am.
be would I be referring Brenda to make this inquiry on behalf of the board to the attorney, or is that something the board takes care of?
I would prefer that Brenda would reach out
All right.
unless Thomas or Brian
No, you're fine.
comments. Okay, I see
Brenda.
Brian shaking his head. Yes, would you please ask Brenda to reach out to
Sure
the
thing.
attorney concerning those specific counts that are at 450
Sure thing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Gotcha.
I have one more question for Ms. Dawn on behalf of Brenda. Looks like there was an email that was sent in from a homeowner. Looks like back in October the 3rd. I was just wanting to know if you can have Brenda send us an update regarding 8625 Wyndham Court. I appreciate it.
That's 8625. That street name again, please?
Yeah, 8625 Wyndham Court. It's surrounding a trash issue.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Any other items for Ms. Johnson? Thomas is shaking his head. No. Brian, no. All right, ma'am.
I'm sorry, LaShawn, I didn't mean to cut you off
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
Does anyone review the architectural requests, or is that something I should make note of at this time?
I
We
think
have a committee that reviews the
Okay,
request.
all right.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you, ma'am. We're gonna move on in the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the Section 7 turnover update from Brian. You have the floor.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. There was a notification sent out to homeowners of Section 7 and also to the board on or about August the 31st, notifying the owners that there's going to be a walkthrough inspection with the county to determine whether or not that section is ready to be turned over to the HOA. There were a few individuals in attendance at that meeting on September the 28th at 10 a.m. The people in attendance, we had 3 county inspectors, Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Earl, and Ms. Russell. We had a developer representative, Melinda Murray. She represents the developer, and then I was in attendance representing the HOA, as well as Brenda Wakefield. Unfortunately, there were no residents of or homeowners of Section 7 in attendance at this walkthrough. The walkthrough lasted maybe a good hour and a half, 2 hours. We looked at the common areas, including the stormwater management system. The inspectors noted a few deficiencies within the stormwater management, particularly erosion around some drainage pipes, and also the actual concrete apparatus that brings the stormwater into the system. Also, that was noted was some leaning trees on the backside of Section 7, which is actually, I'm going to say the backside. I apologize. It's actually the, I believe it's the west side of Section 7, where the forest conservation area is located. And there was a note to actually have the developer cut down a few trees. There was also noted some tree and shrub debris that was placed in the common areas of Section 7, and that was noted for the developer to rectify that. The board of directors received an email from Melinda probably about 2 days ago, maybe a day ago, just advising that the erosion deficiency has been taken care of, and for us to go out and validate that. And so I'll work with landscaping committee, see if we can go out there and validate that within the next 3 to 5 days. So that way we can scratch this off of our to-do list. The deficiencies, one of the main deficiencies was within the common area. The 95% vegetation stabilization had not been reached at that point. I'm not sure if it is going to be reached because we did have our first frost, and with your first frost, the grass stops growing. So I'm not really sure how the county's gonna handle that going forward. But those are the deficiencies. And are there any questions?
Brian, so once you and the landscaping team confirm that the deficiencies have been corrected, the inspector, from my understanding, the inspector will come back out and then we will sign off on having that section turned over to the HOA. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's part of, yes, that's part of the process. Prior to the section being turned over to the HOA, there has to be some more, there are other inspections that are needed. One inspection is Charles County has now created a statute where there's a mailbox, where there's a public, what's it called? A public community mailbox, and you have to walk across the street. There needs to be some sort of sidewalk, or not sidewalk, but markers in the street that outlines that it is a walkway. So that needs to be done as well prior to the section being turned over to the HOA. We're not really concerned about that because that's more of a county-led initiative. We're just looking at the common areas. But it just, I guess it's going to follow this particular reinspection. Does that make sense?
A little, I think I'm following. So
Okay.
landscaping will look at the common areas, confirm that the deficiencies have been corrected. But the county is responsible for taking care of the sidewalks, etc. So that doesn't
Oh. No, I'm sorry, the developer is responsible to take care of the site. It's actually what they call pavement markings, to
Okay.
actually mark the pavement where people will cross the street to get to the community mailboxes.
Okay,
And
so the developer,
the developer is going to be taking care of that. The county is going to be inspecting that. That is a county inspection. And
okay,
that has not been done yet.
okay. So to clarify, so we would not sign off on section 7 being turned over to the HOA until both parts are complete.
No, ma'am, we're only signing off on the common area because that's the only thing that we will
Okay.
we will be controlling.
Okay,
We're not going to be signing off on the other items that are directly with the county.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all the questions I have. Ready to move on to the next agenda item. Next is the apportionment strategy. Thomas, I'm going to request that we table this. I did see,
I was gonna ask that we do that, and I wanna do it because we need to deal with it in November. So yeah, I wanna table it.
well, I want to note that the last time we discussed this, Brian and I sent you some edits.
If I
after
didn't
the
get them
meeting.
all, yeah, if I didn't get them all, then I will, we'll update it again. Not a problem. So let's bring it back in November.
Okay, so we're
But
gonna take,
what I do wanna advise is that we are gonna definitely have to deal with this in November. And then let me explain why. The we've got a significant budget pressure. I think the Don recognized or articulated it, but I need the community to understand what we're going to have to do. So while we're tabling this tonight, we have a cash problem on the operating side of our budget. We have roughly $52,000 in funds. Sorry, excuse me. We have $59,000 in operating funds. We have $18,545 in prepays, which are funds that need to be held for next year expenditures. Where this is the prepays are where homeowners have prepaid either partial year or for a full year. There's 1 or 2 cases where they've paid for 2 years, and we have to hold those funds so that we can go into FY 2023. What that causes is an issue with the ability to complete our expenditures for FY 2023. I'm sorry, excuse me, for FY 2022. And it's due to homeowners not remitting for quarter over quarter. And so as of today, we have we have $18,800 in delinquencies for Q4. And so what we're going to have to do is to make our budget work. We're going from an operating cash perspective, we're going to have to move money from the reserves to make it happen. So I am agreeing that we're going to defer this until we get the document where we want it to be. And so I'll bring it back November 9th.
Oops.
You okay, LaShawn?
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
was texting in the chat, sorry. And this is why I don't pay attention to the chat during meetings. I can't
There you go.
multitask.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you. So the
You're
next item on the agenda is a high level overview, high level overview of the proposed 2023 budget. And I say a very extremely high overview because the Finance Committee conducted a meeting this past Monday that went line by line through the proposed budget for FY23. And so we advise any homeowners that still have questions or concerns to refer to those meeting minutes. There's also a recording on the board's YouTube channel that you can watch the video of the meeting. It will go line by line through the budget and explain every line item. So we're not going to do that this evening, but I do encourage you to refer to those minutes and to that recording of the meeting that was held this past Monday by the Finance Committee. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. McKeithen.
Thank you. This is fine. The proposed FY 2023 budget, we are proposing an assessment fee. Well, let me back up. When we started the development of the FY 23 budget, we committed to a very, very transparent and open process. We committed to developing 3 versions of the budget and publishing those, each version of the budget to the homeowners. And thus, on May 18th, we published our first version of the budget, which called for a annual assessment fee of $739. And then in August, we proposed another budget that had an assessment fee of $785. And the proposal that is published that the board will review and approve the proposed budget for FY 2023 is with an assessment fee, 540 homes, assessment fee of $788. Here are the factors that's driving that increase. One, we no longer have we're not going to have a budget surplus, and so funds won't roll over from one year to the next. That helps you to balance the budget. Two, we don't have net new homes being built in FY 2022-23. There's still construction going on in the other section, but more than likely homes won't go online. And so we're not going to factor those into the budget, and we won't have initial fees. Number 3, we've not balancing the budget on late fees or collection income because of the state of the economy, and then two, we want to mitigate bad practices or bad behavior. So we want to balance the budget based on what it really should be, and that is the assessment fee. Number three, number four, sorry, we have a significant delinquency problem, and so because we want to manage the risk in FY 2023, we are increasing our allowance for doubtful accounts from 10 homes in FY 2022 to approximately 22 homes in FY 2023. As with any budget, and due to inflation, there are some costs that will increase, and so that is a factor. But the last and final factor is the state requirement in House Bill 107 that homeowner associations establish, per the reserve study, which we had conducted in April of 2022, the repair and replacement reserve, fund that repair and replacement reserve at that cost. And they've given us 3 years to reach that number. And as we've previously communicated, we have to annually contribute $55,691 to our repair and replacement reserve every single year. Given that we knew that there was going to be an increase this year, we've decided and we're recommending that we spread the allocation over 3 years. So we've taken the $55,691 and divided it into thirds. And so next year, we're recommending that we contribute $18,654 to the repair and replacement reserve. I will also note this. We are currently watching and looking at our delinquencies and our risk and our tolerance for risk management. And it may be that when we get to the final approval, that we may need to make an amendment to the to that line in the budget to help us manage the risk better. And as the CAM noted earlier, just in Q4, we have 18 homes who have account balances that exceed $500. That's basically 2 quarters, almost 3. And then we have 72 accounts who have not remitted for Q4, who have not remitted for Q4, or who have balances, about $200 or less. And then there's another category. So the board has to manage this risk around delinquencies. That's the budget. It's online. We've posted it out there for everyone to see, and the budget meeting is slated for November 30th, where we will hopefully approve the final version of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the 2022-2023 snow services. Mr. Creighton.
Yes, thank you. Our current snow removal contract actually expires the 31st of December 2022. And this contract is currently with Hyper Landscaping and Design. I sent an email over to landscaping for landscaping to take a look at maybe creating a new RFP and getting the RFP out to bid so we can secure some snow services for our community in the event we get a heavy snowstorm this season. That's all I have currently.
All right, thank you very much.
I did have a question for Brian
Sure.
around that. Hey, Brian, maybe And in previous years, they've done it, on an annual basis. So I would recommend that again, as we've done in previous contracts, maybe look at doing a multi-year for this type of work, so that we don't have to deal. We're not dealing with this issue every snow season. So that would be my recommendation, that you all think about definitely doing that.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that under advisement, and I will probably recommend if we actually do something, I'll probably recommend doing it, cutting it off around April, so that way we're not running into that next November, December timeframe.
Agreed.
Okay, perfect.
All right, that concludes the board's scheduled business for this evening. The time now is 7:30 p.m. We are going to start the community engagement portion of the meeting. We will adjourn either when there are no more questions, no more electronic hands raised from the homeowners, or at 8 p.m. So at this time, if you would like to address the board, we ask that you raise your electronic hand, wait to be called upon. Please keep your line muted when you're not speaking, and then we will call upon you. I do not see any hands.
Did we finish this business up in record time tonight?
Yes, we did. I'm very proud of us.
I am too.
So I still do not see, oh, Nicole. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, Nicole, come on.
I'm just
I'm
clapping on
playing,
the time. I'm just clapping.
Nicole.
Yes,
Oh, you
ma'am.
were playing? You don't have a question?
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't have a question. It was just the clapping hands, like.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, so
Troublemaker.
I do not see any hands raised, so that means you guys don't have any questions. So we are about to adjourn. We want to thank you for your time this evening. We want to thank Ms. Johnson for stepping in for our CAM, Ms.
Absolutely.
Wakefield. The budget meeting is going to be on November 30th at 7 p.m. That information, I believe, has been sent out by the communications committee, and it will be circulating. Please attend the budget meeting November 30th at 7 p.m. The board will be voting on the final proposed budget that you received either via email or through mail. And I believe that's it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.